Hey friends, this is Neethi the pharmacist. Welcome to the Regenerative Mamas conversation this morning here in the Food Church. And I'm joined here today by Miss Jessica Haggard, and I've got Miss Jill Baker from Baker's Green Acres. Welcome everyone. Today we are going to be ladies, why don't y'all tell everybody who you are, what we're doing here, how we got to know each other.
Sure. Well, I'm Jessica. I run the blog primalishhealth.com and all corresponding social media accounts. I live in Ecuador with my husband. We moved out of California in 2010 and have a small little family farm here that we run and produce some of our own food, most of our own food. I homeschool our children and work at home. Always focusing on nutrient-dense animal-based foods, which is the biggest connection I think we have here all together. Our interest in healthy animal fats and proteins.
I'm Jill Baker. With my husband, Mark, we run Baker's Green Acres, where we raise nutrient-dense proteins of all sorts. We also do a lot of education, teaching classes on primarily butchering. On our YouTube, I do some cooking kind of stuff, how to use the things that we grow, which Neethi, we were talking about a minute ago. We have a very regenerative focus on our farm as far as making everything make a circle. And in the process of everything, I have become a regenerative accountability coach, helping people find their health naturally, the same way we do with our animals on our farm. Just being part of nature and learning how to use nature to gain health and abundance.
I love it. Well, I'm Neethi the pharmacist, and I'm over here in the Food Church, and we are teaching people how to honor nature and walk in this natural world and, like immerse ourselves in this. I heard today someone referred to what's happening right now as the new natural world order, as the natural world is coming to front and center. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. So that leads us to today's topic. Our topic today is about the fact that the control over our family's health has been taken away by the system and is being sold back to us for profit. How many people are aware of it? I don't really know. I don't know. So we thought we would kind of break it down and talk about it a little bit today, coming from our three varied perspectives. And so if you guys have any questions about it, or you have anything that you want to share, please put it in the comments and put it in caps, and I'll be looking for it. And we will, we would love to include you in our conversation today. So Jessica, you want to start?
Sure. Well, it's very near and dear to us because that's one of the big reasons that we do what we do, as far as developing pathways for people to follow in regards to dietary and lifestyle choices. Both my husband and I, we do coaching. We have a really strong community forum and network where we're seeing people make huge changes in their own personal lives by choosing certain specific things. And the bottom line is always focusing around nutrient-dense animal-based nutrition, right? So we're looking at animal foods as a tool for health, right? Not necessarily the ultimate, ends, but it's a means for health and for taking back your life and for remedying long-term chronic and acute conditions and like allowing your body to heal in a way where you have energy and the mental capacity to live with a more meaning. Like when you're not struggling throughout the day with energy or just like constantly hungry, or, the long and short of it is when you're finally nourished on the physical level, then you can direct your will in a more specific and focused way and like really meet your goals and continue searching for meaning and find, sort of connect with the essence of life in a better way.
That's beautifully said. I mean, the root of deliberate intention.
Mhm.
Yeah, overcoming sugar addiction, making conscious choices every day. I mean, it could be as easy as you just start shopping differently, and then you start cooking your food differently. And once you get positive feedback from your own body, that's momentum and inspiration to keep going. Once you learn what foods actually not only feel good, but allow you to perform better in your life, then it's very profound, and it's eye-opening. And the beginning is just like, that's the beginning. And then you have, your whole future ahead of you.
Yeah. Jill?
Yeah. Everything Jessica said. And
Absolutely.
we live in the middle of industrial ag country, dairy farms in particular.
Oh.
So we see so much of where people are giving over control and then buying it back. We homeschool as well. And we've had a couple kids go through the local high school for various reasons. And it's sad. My son had economics and civics through 2020 and the fall when everything broke. And he learned nothing, absolutely nothing in this entirely educationally rich time. So I fed him stuff and said, well, and we had conversations pulling that back. We had to carve out that time because they had taken it and made very poor use of it. We have so many dairy farmers around us that are not allowed to have chickens or pigs. Yeah, seriously. The companies that buy their milk will not let them have anything other than dogs and cats on their farm. Yeah. And if they drink out of, some of them just, drink out of their bulk tank anyway, but most of them, they're also not allowed to take any milk out of their bulk tank. So it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, okay, sorry.
Cool.
I just want to say that I find it really insane when I have farms that want to come and work with the food church or talk to me, but they don't consume what they produce. And I'm like, if you're not eating it, I don't want to sell it, man. I don't understand what's going on. Like, is it bad? I mean, why aren't you having some? What's going on?
Yeah. There's been a great marketing, well, between these industrial guys who aren't allowed to eat off their own farm, they'll eat their beef. They do that.
And there's some that won't even do that, Jill. It's so crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But then they've also been told, food comes from the grocery store. And that's been a huge marketing thing where people aren't even sure sometimes that it's safe to eat the produce at a farmer's market.
Right.
We've had those conversations and met those people, which is kind of strange. Or eggs from a farm. They don't think they're safe.
Because they're dirty.
Because
they're closer to the dirt right there. Is that what it is?
I don't know. They're only safe if they've come from the store because they know how to handle eggs.
Oh, you're talking about health code. Wait a minute. Okay, so that's okay.
Well,
sorry.
Right. So people just have this, they've been sold this thing that's what it is.
There's something that I see too from a different perspective where we're looking at people and they see, like, if it's the milk's not pasteurized, it's not safe. If the eggs aren't pasteurized, or if they're not bleached, or if they aren't washed, they're not safe. And if vegetables, if they're not wrapped in plastic, whatever it is, they're not safe, or whatever. And one of the biggest things with the eggs that we see versus America culture and Ecuador here is locally nobody keeps their eggs in the fridge. Like, it's a waste of fridge space if you do that. You don't do that. Yeah. And then even here from our chickens, we have ducks and chickens that we raise for meat and eggs. And I keep them on the counter, for a few weeks, and they're not washed. So the eggs actually have a coating around it that protects, the integrity of the egg, and it doesn't spoil so easily until you wash it off. And then you do need to keep it in the fridge.
But you are allowed to eat your eggs, I think, Jessica. Like, and I think that you're allowed to eat more than one. Like, I think that you get to like maybe eat 3 or 4 at a time, maybe 6 or 7 even. I bet Tristan might eat 10 if he wanted, like all in one moment. And that's the other part of it that, what's fascinating, you guys, like when the Native Americans would go and like kill a buffalo or something, then everybody would sit together in the tribes and then they would just eat, they would feast, right? So if you're feasting off of the same plate or platter or whatever, like the food is in the center and everybody's just feasting and talking and loving each other, you could very easily eat 2 pounds of meat and no one would know it. And now everybody makes their own plate. It's all nuclear, like you've been taught to eat in a nuclear way, versus like in India, we used to eat off the same big thing in the center of the table. And now that's not allowed because, the Brits made sure that's not allowed. And if you've had training, if you've been, civilized, then you would no longer feast off of the same thing. And I think most traditional cultures would have feasted. In Japan, they still like, put all the stuff in the center on like a lazy Susan and they turn the plate around or whatever, and everybody eats a little bit of everything. And I feel like when we're all sitting together and we're eating that way and talking, no one's looking at the plate and you eat till proper satiety, which would mean, because I have been saying that people need at least 2 pounds of meat per person per day, minimally, for optimal nutrition. And I don't even know how many eggs, like for optimal, like nutrition. And so what do you guys think? I mean, I think that if all of our stuff was not on our own plate, that other people could see, like what is Neethi eating? What is Jessica eating? What is Jill eating? If no one knows what everybody's eating because everyone's just eating, we're all just enjoying each other, and we're all just talking, I think very easily we would eat 2 pounds of meat like nothing. And it wouldn't matter because nobody's paying attention. None of us would know how much food was required, right?
I would take a little more of a nuanced perspective on that. Excuse me. I would say, you certainly could. I don't think there's anything wrong with 2 pounds of meat a day, but it's going to depend on the person and the context.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not 2 whole pounds. I'm just saying.
The point of it not being wrong, I can definitely support, and I think the point about this casual way of eating, and you're talking about like family style recipes, where you have like everything on the table and you take what you need and what you want, and you can select the portions, and you can control, you have better portion control when you're nourished with animal foods and animal fats. And I think this is very noticeable in children. If you, I'm in part of a community where not so much anymore, but previously there was a lot of young families, and there was a lot of vegan, vegetarian influences in this, and very high carb, high sugar, not a lot of processed foods, but definitely a lot of fruit and desserts and stuff. And the children, you see it in them, you see developmental issues come up, and you see emotional issues, and it's definitely more obvious when they have such high carb, high sugar diets. So having a healthy amount of animal foods, animal meats and proteins, I think, as a foundation, and then, nothing wrong with carbs in context, no, nothing inherently wrong with them. Use them as quick burning fuel, use them like children are growing, I think carbs are important. But to not be intentionally restrictive with animal foods, I think would benefit a lot of people.
Well, I'm saying what I'm saying because people are villainizing it, first of all, and people don't realize how much it's been vilified for like, centuries. And the problem that I'm seeing right now is that people are afraid to eat enough food. And so you have like a family of 5 or 6 that share 1 pound of meat. That's not enough meat. So that's my point. I'm not saying that there weren't people who were also enjoying, some corn or I don't know, whatever else might have been there. But I'm saying that, there was no, like, you need more fat and more animal inputs per day, per person, period. Because that is the
Agreed.
fat The fat is the only way to balance your hormonal system, period.
Right.
And I'm not
And you
saying-
see this tightening coming from the top down. You know, you see it through Eat Lancet, you see it through government restrictions, discussions over meat tax, you see it pushed through the green agenda and tightening control over meat consumption. You see it in governmental policies and NGO, like global think tanks, these sort of things, top down, right? You know, nobody working on the farm or nobody, you know, trying to live a healthy life.
Right.
Is like
That's why when
voluntarily.
you're raising all these eggs and putting them on the counter, Jessica, no one can understand that and consume enough of them because they're only allowed to have one.
Right. No, it's really difficult when government tells you to eat 28 grams, like 1 ounce of meat a week or a month or something retarded.
Or whatever,
I mean,
something crazy. But let's go back to the egg thing. You were talking about leaving eggs on the counter. The reason people can't leave eggs on the counter is because there's so many of them, and they're not allowed to eat but one, you know, a week or something stupid. And I'm saying that's half the problem. That's most of the problem. Like, you know, I could leave eggs on the counter if everybody was eating them fast enough, as they should. But I can't if they're not eating them because they think they're going to die because they're been lied to, because, you know, nature is to be feared. And I want to go back to nature can't even hurt you. All nature wants to do is to help you thrive, and wants to help anybody who's doing a good job, like thrive bigger, better, faster, stronger. Your body can't even work against you. The holistic point of view for your body is that you know, people think that your body is not, your body is just wanting to save your life constantly. Even when you're eating, you know, some crap out of a box with a barcode, or drinking something out of an aluminum can, or whatever garbage that you might be consuming, that's happening. Sorry, someone's knocking over here. I don't know what's going on out there. There's work going on. Sorry.
I completely agree.
Jill, I didn't mean to interrupt your whole thing, but like,
Yeah,
talking about eggs on the counter that you can't leave on the counter because people can't eat them because they're gonna die if they eat more than one in a month or something.
Yeah, it's a huge disconnect. Even what you're seeing for the people growing the food and what we see around us, they're so disconnected from their gut and their body. They've been told what you said, that their body, they need to command their body, and it's all head stuff. This is what's good for your body, instead of listening to your body. I've had kids, several of mine, at least once, have stolen a stick of butter, and I find them behind the sofa someplace, eating a stick of butter. And the first time, you know, I was young and silly and, oh, yuck, you shouldn't do that. And after that, I got smarter and said, oh, well, if you're that hungry, maybe, you know. But there's a huge disconnect. We see farmers. The farmer landowner is sitting in an office, and they spend huge amounts of time in their office managing all the paperwork. Even smaller scale farmers, I spend way too much time in my office on the computer, trying to market or doing the books or whatever it is. And they hire
doing
people.
The show.
Yeah, they hire people to be out there taking care of the animals, spreading the manure, and doing all of these things. And they're in big, massive tractors with GPS and air conditioning. They're just totally disconnected, and that disconnect filters down to, you know, they're disconnected from the food that they're growing, the soil. So all the food, they're disconnecting what's happening in their body from what they're being told is right and true. And what you're finding is a lot of people that are wanting to reconnect. And Jessica and I work with people that are wanting to reconnect, but there's so much up here. They've done such a great job of disconnecting us.
Yep.
medically too. So you go to them for everything, for schooling, for your health care, for your food, all of it, rather than reconnecting with your gut first of all. And just what is your body telling you it wants? When does it want to eat? How much? What you were saying about the amounts of food that people eat, we're just disconnected with from how much and from what your body really wants. Whether it wants 2 pounds of meat in one day and then you're good for the day,
Right.
or summertime, it wants something lighter. I'm finding a little bit of chicken, and right now, like vegetables are totally the thing. Give me those veggie carbs. But that's what's looking at my environment right now.
Right.
That's what there is.
If you're balanced and you're managing it, and it's okay. But I think, I mean,
Yeah.
the reason I said the 2 pounds, I mean, I would even say 3 pounds. What my point is that people don't have any concept of what is appropriate, you know?
Right.
And
And there's times a year when that is entirely, like really and truly, that's the best nutrition you can get. When the ground is frozen and nothing's growing, it's all been stored in that meat.
right. Exactly. And or if you are 25 years on boxed fake food, then you just need that to get back to the point where you might be able to actually enjoy the garden. But you can't get there from cardboard. You know, you just can't. You can't get there from chemicals. From chemicals to vegetables, it doesn't work because it's too much of a chemistry project still. And you know, I'm going to be that extreme carnivore person in this conversation while the other ladies are going to try to balance it, because that's what I'm seeing. I'm dealing with the more, I don't know, maybe extreme cases. I'm not saying that you guys aren't. I'm saying that I find that if someone has cancer and MS, which is like the highest on the scale of most of the people that I'm dealing with, then they can't get from Pop-Tarts or whatever, something in a box, to any kind of plants. They just can't do it, like not right now. But do I think they can get there eventually? Sure. I mean, I think that there's a process, and I think that it's still going to be really meat heavy even at the end. And I know you guys eat meat heavy. That's the other part of it. And I know that you don't feel like you only eat one egg. I know that. In a week, I'm sure not.
That would be
Come on.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are appreciating the vegetables and the other things, but how
I actually don't eat vegetables, just to be clear. I eat animal foods. Animal foods. So
Jessica, what do you eat in a day? Let's just do a day in the life of Jessica and Jill and Nikki. Let's just say it.
Okay. Typically, breakfast is about 3/4 of a liter, maybe up to a liter. I eat a little bit more on my cycle, either the first day or the last day of my cycle. I eat a little bit more, but say like 3/4 of a liter or a quart, if you're American, 3/4 of a quart of a yogurt that I make. We have cows, so it's cow yogurt with honey. We also raise bees, so we have honey. I mean, I'm generous with the honey, like a big spoon. I don't measure it. I don't do calories or macros. I have, but I don't do that anymore. It was really helpful when I was transitioning. So we know like, okay, what is like, how much protein do I actually need? What is that number? And then what does that look like in real life? You know, like in food, what does it look like?
Do you listen to your body, or you listen to your calculator?
No, that's what I'm saying. It was helpful. The macros were helpful in the beginning, just to get an idea of portion size and what's appropriate. Because I noticed for me in the transition, I mean, we're talking about transitioning, like body composition changes, right? So I had some fat loss to pursue. I had a lot of emotional, like eating challenges and sugar addictions to break. And so I couldn't always listen to my body, because it's like, well, I just want to eat desserts all the time. Or like, I just want,
retraining the brain.
Yeah. So in that way, retraining it, that's where I see macros as really valuable,
right.
To get yourself on the path. And then once you're on the path, intuitive eating definitely does come up. And so for me now, like I said, yogurt and honey in the morning. And then let's see, yesterday, well, I'll tell you what I did yesterday as like a real life example. And I'll tell you what more of like a usual go-to. Yesterday, for lunch, it was around, so I eat in the morning, say around 7, and then I had lunch yesterday. I had actually eggs. And I had with my children, what we do is we have, I got to teach them what a knob of butter is yesterday. And it's like the size of a doorknob. Like you like slice a chunk off and then you put it in a pan. That's a knob, right? So we took a knob of butter, and then we live in Ecuador, so we have bananas all over the place. I sliced bananas and I fried bananas, and then I cracked, say, 8 eggs for myself and then 2 children who are 9 and 5. 4 bananas, 8 eggs, huge chunk of butter, and then I sort of scrambled it all up and salted, and that actually held me over.
It was bananas or like plantain?
No, banana, the fruit, right? So non-starchy, just carbs. That, and then for dinner, I had like 2 glasses of milk, raw milk. So it's a little atypical. The yogurt and honey is pretty standard, and then I usually have a beef around 3, right? So I do burgers, maybe 2 or 3 burger, like quarter-pound burgers with 2 fried eggs. Always salt heavy for me. I typically cook in tallow because butter is more of a luxury food for me, and it's like I usually just keep it raw on top of something, or so I use tallow for cooking, which I render myself. And then if I don't do ground beef, then we'll have a ribeye or sometimes a roast, which I round roast.
Nice. Jill, what about you?
Oh, typical day. There is no such thing, but usually breakfast often involves eggs. I actually like variations on eggnog, which is just raw eggs and milk and a little maple syrup, because I like that better than honey, and we have it. And then it might be whatever fruit is fresh. So today we had apples, and then the blueberries that we just picked recently. Or I'll throw my weeds in. If I want more protein, I like chia, just because it helps me get jobs done in the morning that need to happen with its lovely qualities. So that's often breakfast. Lunch is whatever the meat of the day is. Right now, Mark is going through all the beef. So I usually just snitch a couple bites of his burger. And then we have chicken and whatever the vegetables are today. We're doing a lot of corn on the cob right now and it's actually all going to seed. Yeah, it's getting ahead of us. Or raw tomatoes. I don't do a lot of those because cooked vegetables are more my happy spot.
How much of your own food that you eat, Jill, do you produce?
Right now, like 95% of it, because it's all the vegetables and then the meat from us. And I'm actually really experimenting with an annual kind of diet. So as the vegetables peter out, it'll be the squashes and the root vegetables. Yeah. And really experimenting this year. It'll be heavy which my body did not tolerate a lot of beef doing the whole carnivore thing this spring, but I'm going to try it again this winter with then just the vegetables that we have. And we had honey from bees that were here, and my family makes maple syrup. So that's, trying to stick with that kind of 95%. And then we have the hens with the eggs and a lot of lard and tallow. And yes, butter is at a premium. People want to buy my butter and I tell them, you can't afford it. You really can't, at like $50 a pound or something. Do you really want my butter? No.
No, you don't want to. I know, right? So I'm still very much just high fat carnivore because I'm still, I keep trying vegetables, seasonally. I keep trying to have a little bit and I can't do it, like not yet. But I also had autoimmune conditions since I was like 7 or 8. And it was, side effect of my MMR that I did not even know happened. And, you know, I mean, now I can look back and see all the ways that my health declined and how, I mean, it wasn't even like a lot of folks who have like multiple vaccinations. I only had 3 or 4 in my whole life, but whatever it was like horrible. And in the sense of immediately I had allergies, I had all these, you know, and then I ended up with vitiligo, which is an autoimmune condition that I didn't even know was an autoimmune condition until like a few years ago, because they didn't call it autoimmune condition when I was, you know, like 11 and had all the spots, the white patches or whatever. And then my mom actually like went through hell to treat me with this specialist, and she spent a lot of money for them to basically, what I think was basically oral chemo. I don't really know for sure, but whatever it was horrible. And it made me feel like garbage, and it made me not be able to perform in school, you know, well, or anything. So that was awesome. That was so awesome. And all it did was ruin my relationship with my mom, basically, is what it did. Cause she thought I was crazy and angry all the time. And it was the meds, but she didn't know it. And that was really unfortunate. But anyway,
Did you grow up in the United States, or were you in India?
I did. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mhm.
That's why I'm a Carolina girl. I'm not really, don't sound like Indian. I know everybody can't figure it out, like what's going on. But um but yeah, so you know, I'm still trying to recover from all of that. And I wish I could do all that dairy or whatever, but no. I mean, I do have access to beautiful raw dairy, and I do enjoy it, and I have little bits of it. I just can't like have a whole quart of yogurt or something.
Mhm.
I would, my body
Dairy
would
is
go,
new for me. I used to, I mean, like in the last few months, really.
oh,
We moved in here and got the cows, and that was like a big focus. And then I would make all the cheeses and make all the yogurt. I would just never eat it. Like we have shelves of aged cheese. It was like, it just doesn't work. And the aged cheese, actually, I still haven't gone down that route. I do raw milk, and I do a specific type of yogurt. I've tried a few, and they're not all the same for me. And aged cheese is even a soft cheese, you know, that's just the curds and then without the whey, that is a little bit more slow for me to digest than the yogurt. And then the aged cheese is like an extra,
yeah.
it doesn't work for me. Not yet. Maybe one day, but not yet.
I
I
understand.
love how we're all in different places, because I love cheese and can easily eat more of it than what my body's happy with. My homemade yogurt, I'll have that with granola. Like that's our Friday thing, because Fridays we have to be in the shop butchering, and so it's quick, easy.
Mhm.
To drink a glass of milk, my stomach is not happy with it. I can do the hot spiced milk. So in the morning, I actually have my eggnog hot, which people think is really weird, but it's just warm milk and it's spiced. And so I can do like water and milk, but just a
The
glass
eggs don't
of
get
milk.
cooked in your warm milk.
No, you know, what I do is I put the eggs in all whatever is in the smoothie in the blender, and then add, if it's the greens in there, because of my thyroid, I put boiling water over them and then blend it all into the smoothie. And then what I've really been liking is just add butter to that. So the butter sits on my stomach really even better than if I add milk to it to cool the boiling water to drinkable.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of, the eggs are
Butter.
warmed,
My body
but they're
loves
not
butter.
cooked.
My body loves blended butter and butter. It just loves the butter. It loves the butter. And like, I love the butter. It makes me feel so good. And you know, what's interesting is I have a little coffee with raw cream and butter. And, you know, I know that a lot of people don't feel like they can enjoy the coffee. I find I like coffee, but I do it after. I either only do a little bit of coffee in the morning. It's not a lot of coffee, first of all. It's mostly raw cream and butter is what it mostly is. It's a little bit of coffee for the vehicle of raw cream and butter, and mostly butter probably that's blended, and just enough to make you think it's coffee, but it's not so much coffee. Does that make sense? I don't know. I think it is interesting where all of us are at something different. I do mostly just eat meat. If I try to do some greens, oh my gosh, Jill, like immediately my stomach goes nuts. You talk about your thyroid, my thyroid I had Hashimoto's also. That's another thing that was really crazy. And so I do a little iodine. I do a little bit of iodine every day, just a drop. And then we eat fish 2 or 3 times a week because I have access to Day Trip, ocean fresh, local seafood. But when I eat the fish, it's a side dish to my fatty pork or fatty
I hope the audience is getting the message here, where it's like none of us are afraid of animal foods. We eat them ourselves. We give them to our children. And we're not shy about it. We're not shy. It's like, this is the foundation of our diet. And now, like throughout the years, we've each learned what other foods we can add on top of that or in addition to, but not as a replacement.
No, it can't be that we remove the meat.
No.
I mean, gosh, and Jill, I'm still enjoying your lardo. I'm almost out. I'm like, it's only a treat. Like, I don't let myself have it all the time. Like, I really want it every single day.
Yeah.
But I don't let myself. I need to get more. Can I not get more? I keep asking you. I think she keeps ignoring me. I'm like, seriously, Jill, can I please have some more lardo?
This fall, we will hook you up. We'll get you a bucket of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this lard that you make, that you render from pigs?
No, it's salt cured. So it's just in salt and it cures, and then it's shelf stable completely.
Salt cured lard?
No, fat from the back of her hog with the skin on.
Right.
Jessica, they have these Mangalista hogs that are amazing. Okay. And she gives me this fat cap that's like this fat with skin, amazing. And it's immersed in salt and seasonings. Yeah. And when I got it at first, I was like, what is this not sealed meat that came to me? And I kept thinking, and like Paige had it in her fridge, and I was like, oh my God, is it going to go bad? Like, what is it? And I opened it up and I was like, it's this piece of skin with this much fat on the other end of it. And the skin is literally just holding, and you slice it down to the skin.
Is it all fat? Is there any meat?
Yes, it is.
Pure fat. It's the back fat off the pig. Yep.
Back fat, right? So not leaf lard, and isn't there another?
It's not the visceral fat.
Okay.
Right.
It's not the visceral fat. It is so delicious. It is so.
And it's once it's cured.
I call it fatty cake.
How long do you cure it for?
A month.
Okay. In a barrel?
Days.
Or in a crock?
Just packed in salt. Yeah. Yeah. You can do it however. It is very, very cool.
Okay. We're raising pigs right now for the first time, and they're just getting, in September, we're going to artificially inseminate. They're just big enough now, and then raise out the piglets, and then we're going to butcher the least favorite mom, and then slowly sort of, raise out the piglets and go through. And I've never butchered a pig before. So I'm all for particularly preserving the meat. I would like to learn all of it because I know none of it, and there's going to be a lot of meat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually our adventure this fall, is we're teaching a class on completely preserving the pig in salt, outside of refrigeration.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
How do you teach your classes? Are they online or in person?
The butchering ones have all been in person. Because it's hands-on. We have people.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's the best way to learn.
It does make it tempting to. I've thought about doing a Zoom. We had that one time that we did that. But it's the way that we've all ended up where we are is learning to listen to our guts. So, you know, like Jessica said, it's only been, what, a couple months, you said, of drinking milk.
Yes.
And there's one yogurt that works. And the cheese, you feel what it's doing. And that's the biggest thing for people is, I think we've said it before, just getting aware and reconnecting. Because that's part of the premise of the whole question today, was that control has been taken away. And part of reclaiming that is just becoming aware. So Neethi knows what works for her and what doesn't because she's aware. And the same for Jessica and me, that reconnecting to take back the control.
So sickness is a good business, you guys. Did you know that? It's a
Problem
really
solution.
it's a good business, and sickness like establishes the fear truth. Like, you know, people say to me, you know, oh, you know, you just wait, it's coming for you. Or, you know, like, you're still too young to know. I think all of us are very different in our ages. I think all of us can attest to the fact that we get to choose how we want to feel all along the whole path. And that aging is not a death sentence. And I know that I don't necessarily, my body doesn't always feel like I'm 20, but I know that I have kind of touched the unicorn, and I have gone from not being well to being well enough to say, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm 20. Like, I can just do a dip. I can just like squat on the floor and jump right back up. I can do a leapfrog. I can, like, you know, I mean, I haven't really tried to do cartwheels, but I bet I can maybe do it. Like, I'm going to probably try to do that today. Just for fun, just to know that I can do it, you know. And maybe my wrists aren't going to be as totally strong enough because, you know, I haven't been doing a good job doing that because I've been working these days on the computer and doing some things more than I want to, and I need to get back into not doing that. But I keep meeting people who don't know how to scramble eggs, and I feel like I need to do something to like help them like get back to that. But yeah, back to the topic, you know, that our health was taken away and nature was framed, because, you know, it's real easy to frame nature and blame nature for everything, and then make everybody scared to death, you know, and make everybody believe that only the experts know nature, because you don't feel comfortable, because you've been told that you're not intelligent enough to just go out and, you know, play in nature yourself and test it and just and trust it. See if you can go trust nature. I think that if most of us were to go out and lose ourselves in the woods, that when we come home, we're going to probably feel like we had probably the best day of our lives. Right? It doesn't even need to be that you spend the night out there or anything, but if you just go get lost in the woods and come home, I think you feel better than when you go to work and come home. Right?
This space is really important, right? And we've talked about similar things in previous episodes as far as like finding quiet space for yourself to reflect and figure out how you actually feel about things and what is influencing you to feel certain ways. We've talked about, like last week, we were talking about the slave mind and how we are submitting to certain things in our culture, if it's medical, if it's governmental, if it's schooling and education, if it's just general, like what life means, you know, there's different layers to it. But I hope that the audience can hear that, like, nobody should be afraid to try, I'm not going to say new things, but specific new things. Like, don't go try to be vegan right now, but do try to eat some like tallow and lard, like at least once a week. I mean, this is probably a new fat for a lot of people. You know, we know butter. Yeah, we do, which is awesome. But there's other animal fats that you can enjoy as well. And, sort of within that.
No, Jessica always gets frozen when she's saying something really good. Okay, I'm going to say that, yes, to the tallow and the suet, or the, tallow, Suet is when beef fat is whole, and tallow is when you've rendered it. And then pork fat or fat back is pork fat before it's rendered, when it's whole. And then you can make lard, which is from pork. And I mean, I think I use, I definitely use a quart of lard, a quart of bacon grease, and I probably use a pint of tallow. I think I use tallow less than lard, just mainly because I just think I like the lard the most, maybe. I don't know, or the bacon grease. I also use ghee.
Oh, yeah.
I also use ghee, but.
And you know what else is amazing? It's chicken fat.
Oh yeah,
we had Freedom Rangers. Oh,
we've had schmaltz. We were regularly offering schmaltz, like every processing, like every time we process birds, then we'd harvest, the fat, and we'd have a few jars of schmaltz as well. And we haven't been doing that recently. I need to get back to that, but yes, definitely. All right, Jessica, we were just going with the whole lard and tallow thing.
I'm sorry.
No, I know. I was like, she's always saying something good, and then it just freezes.
Darn, it cuts a little bit. I know. Okay, the point is, so within the context of trying new things, keep in mind that just because something doesn't work, like for me personally, we've talked about the milk thing. Like I've been trying to drink raw milk for like 9 years, it's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's a certain limit that I have, but it's all about learning how to be in your body and feel your body and know what sort of foods you need in different situations. So not to get too attached to like one size fits all, what works for me obviously isn't what Jill's doing or what Neethy's doing. It might not be what what you want to do. But to just keep pursuing it. And I mean, we have a life now, and we have limited time, and we have to make the most of it. So.
Yeah. I mean, what I heard recently is I heard somebody say life is too short for us not to just do what they want us to do so that we could just keep going on with our lives. Can everybody just do what they're telling us to do so we could just go on with our lives? This is what somebody said. And I was like, wow. One of the things I want to hear what all of you have to say to that. I'm just going to say my part of it, which is I did what they said. They medically murdered my daughter. I will not ever do that again. Also, I know how to read now. And if I know how to read, I can't pretend to not know how to read. So I just want you to do whatever you want to do, like live and let live in that situation. Okay. So Jessica, Jill, please take it away.
I do like that. I like that as far as we did try to comply and it didn't work for me, like for XYZ reasons, I think honestly, I think if everybody looks deep enough, I think you can find ways where that applies to you. And that's like the first step to like getting that push to try something else, right? Because it's hard, man. It's hard to step out. It's hard to leave the city. It's hard to take responsibility over your health. Like then you have to do stuff and it's hard. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, like, I get it. However, there's a reward and you're putting in that effort and you're getting the reward and you're getting like your life back. And that's amazing. And it like only once you start to experience it, do you even understand what that means? And then the second point to that, sort of as a rebuttal, it's like, well, what kind of life do you want? Like, what kind of life are you trying to get back to? Like, where is the value in that? Where is the meaning in that kind of life? What does that really look like? What is life when it's framed in that regard? Sort of as a rhetorical question, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah, you can live or you can really live. And if you're not going forward, you're dead. That's just how nature works and how life is. So yeah, you can live by just doing what they tell you to do. Although, as Neethy pointed out, that you may or may not live doing what they tell you to do. And depending on the numbers that you look at, that's what compliance right now will get you. Or you can really live, because we were made for liberty the same as we were made to breathe and eat and drink and sleep. It's just part of our weave. And if you don't honor that, you give all of your liberty over, you're no different than those people living behind bars. It's just
Yeah,
a
you're
slower
a prisoner.
process.
You're a I don't understand. I mean, when I read that, I was like, you want me to choose bondage? Like, no, I am choosing big. I'm going big. I'm going to go big or go home because life is too short. You're right. Life is too short. So I'm going to go big or I'm going to go home. And you can't taste Jill Baker's fatty cake and go back to the grocery store. Are you nuts? Like, you guys are nuts. You don't even know what you're talking about. You know not what you say. You know not what you say.
Yeah.
And also, why are you going to allow other people to make a decision for you? You're letting the government make a decision for you, but you want to be mad at me for not participating? Why is what I'm doing any of your freaking business? And also, why is what I'm doing, the fact that they let what I'm doing affect you? They are letting what I'm doing affect you.
This came to me earlier when you were talking about going out for a day in nature. Nature's incredibly powerful. And this really is a power struggle. And when you're dealing with someone who is confidently powerful, it's threatening to a lot of people. And when we are living in our own power by living in our own body and owning it, that's threatening. When we're championing nature, that's threatening because they're all about power and they want that. They don't want to, it is easy, like Jessica said, to give that over and then just complain about it. That's just the easy path.
Well, that's the path of least resistance for some people.
Right.
But the path
Right.
of least resistance for me is to eat Jill's fatty cake.
Right.
So,
because you want to be vibrantly alive and you want that inherent power that comes from being vibrantly alive. They are settling for being just alive.
yeah.
And easy. But
and is it easy?
they're missing out on seeing in Technicolor. They're living in black and white world and being happy with it,
yeah.
rather than the Technicolor, never mind HD, right? So
look at all the cool friends I made, because otherwise I guess I'm not very popular. I mean, I don't think any of us are always going to be the most popular amongst the people who choose that path of least resistance of just going with the water. Yeah, I'm going upstream, but it's so fun. It's so fun to go the other way. And I get to feel the massaging of the stream coming against all of the rest, right? It just feels really cool, right? I don't know. I don't feel like I'm paddling upstream, actually. I feel like I'm the one going downstream while they're the ones paddling upstream. And it's so much easier to go with nature downstream while they go upstream going, the struggle is real. Just do what they say. Keep swimming, keep swimming. I don't do that. I'm like chilling on the life raft on a fatty cake going the other way. That's what I think I'm doing. I think that when I was choosing what they define as the path of least resistance, then we were suffering needlessly. And now that I'm choosing the path of least resistance that nature kind of pushed me onto, it just seems like, why would I effort so much to suffer needlessly? And am I selfish because of that? Yes, I am. And you should be too. You should be too. Because these ladies we're all being selfish. We're all selfishly choosing not to paddle upstream and go against nature. We're dancing with nature and it's fun. We want you to come with us. You could come with us too.
Yep.
Jessica, you don't have anything to say to that?
I was wondering what you, in your perspective from the people that you are around, what do you think the sort of like number one hesitancy people have about eating animal foods? Where do you think it comes from? Do you see any like specific themes in this, or is it sort of like a general, this just like a general quote unquote truth, you know, or like something that's understood? Um, can you identify any like one spot where sort of propaganda against that is coming from, or is it just built up over time? What do you guys think?
I see three things I personally do. And Jill, I want you to say what you see, because I think all of us, and you too, I want you to articulate what you see, Jessica, because I think all of us see something different. But where I'm at, I see religion as a big one to not eat meat. I see, so religion, not just, I mean, I'm a Hindu, like we grew up, you know, in Hinduism. So that's a huge one. But besides that, I see it in a lot of Christians. I see it in a lot of churches. I see it in, you know, other faiths and other cultures too. And then I see an oppression of women with it. Like a lot of women feel like it is unladylike or something to eat meat, and definitely to eat like a big old fatty cake, because, you know. And the last one is the medical lie that fat makes you fat. So if you're fatty and you need hormonal supplementation to lose the fat, by eating Jill's fatty cake, you're not really allowed to. So because you're a fatty, and if you eat the fat and not a salad, and the salad is going to make you sicker because the chemical imbalance of the plants at that moment is too much. So that's a huge piece. I mean, when I keep saying that people need 2 pounds of meat, I think that all of us, you're eating a quart of yogurt, Jessica. Like most people in town, they buy a quart of yogurt for their house for the month or 2 weeks, for 2 weeks. They don't understand that you just ate it today for breakfast. Like nothing.
But also hear that that's all I ate, right? So there's a lot of nutrient density in it, and it lasts me,
I mean, I don't care.
a long time. There's no snacking.
But they can't understand that. Like none of us are snacking.
Yeah.
None of us
no crashing in the afternoon.
No, yeah. We don't need anything else. That's what we're saying. Like everybody's like, so exactly. How do you snack on carnivore? We don't.
Yeah, right.
We're not hungry.
Right.
Like we don't. We're not eating all freaking day. I mean, I'm busy. I'm doing something. I don't have time to just keep eating and eat. I haven't even eaten actually today. I mean, a lot of mornings I just don't break fast until later. And I like to just eat one meal a day, you know, mm-hmm. And I, you know, like what you're calling lighter, Jill, for me, light means I just eat at 3 or 4 o'clock and that's it. And then I don't eat anything else. And maybe I'll have a little glass of milk, maybe if I'm still hungry in the evening, or I might scramble an egg or something, or I might eat a little couple pieces of fatty cake. That to me is like goodness, you know, around 7. And it's nice and salty. It's like my salt therapy. It helps me get my melatonin going for the evening. You know, it's salt therapy for me. I will eat some fatty cake with some salt, drink some water. And that's my medicine before I go to bed. Those are my pills. Take my little fatty cake, couple of slices, and it is massive therapy. It helps me sleep deeply. You know, I'm going through the change. Maybe I need to talk about that. So, you know,
that could be a whole topic.
Can definitely be a whole topic, but I will just add this. If I was not high on meat and fat, I would be going crazy. Like, I mean, yeah, I have experienced a hot flash or two. And at the beginning, it caught me off guard because I didn't know what was going on. And it would happen in the middle of the night, you know, and I'd be like, what is going on? Like I woke up, I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I am not going to wake up for this. This is unbelievable. But, you know, like other people say they have these massive sweats and I don't know. I mean, like they're always very uncomfortable and whatever. I'm not saying that I don't have like a reminder throughout the day, like, don't forget, you're not the same as you were 5 minutes ago or a year ago or whatever. But I know that whatever I'm experiencing is not near as dramatic. And if I eat extra pieces of fatty cake that day, I can turn that off for the night, almost practically. to where I might only interrupt my sleep once, maybe. But if I go to bed earlier, I probably won't interrupt my sleep at all. What do you know about that, Jill?
Exactly the same thing. Yeah, because that has been my experience in the last year too. It's like, well, a couple night sweats, but other than that, you know, the as long as the hormones are in balance, people think that being a woman is a curse. Like this is, thank you, Gloria Steinem. She really sold us on one of the world's biggest lies and stole women's power instead of empowering them, because PMS, like we get a monthly report card on our health. If you're suffering from a lot of PMS, your hormones are imbalanced and you need to rest up. You need to eat some more fat, eat some liver, get some iron. You need to do something. If you've got an easy cycle, you know you're spot on and you're good and you just keep doing what you're doing. PMS or menopause is the same thing. When you go through that change, it is sometimes uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be this huge, like you're a screaming ball of raging hormones and making your husband's life miserable because of it and all this stuff. That is a report card telling you that you need to do something and, you know, talk
100%.
to one of us because it's not
One
how
of
it's
us can help
supposed to be.
you.
We are bringers of life, right? We're bringers of life. And as women, we are really fortunate to get this health report card on a monthly basis.
All of that applies to
And
fertility
meat
as
and
well.
fat.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
Jessica, say it
because
louder.
that's what it's all about.
We are here to procreate. And the more we procreate, do you know that they used to say, go get 40 acres and have 10 babies? Because if you had 10 babies, then you would be pregnant or nursing and you would miss a whole bunch of cycles, which would reduce your hormonal flush through the body, which would reduce your chances of ever having cancer. And now that they tell you you shouldn't have children because the world is overpopulated or something stupid. Like, let me just tell you something. Our planet can handle however many babies we put out there. It can. And we're nowhere near capacity. If you took the entire global population, we could fit us in, between Alaska and Texas, I think. The entire population. China and India have the largest populations on the planet, and India is not that big. It's not that big.
Yep. They underestimate nature. It's that nature thing, and nature's all about nurturing life.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We are nowhere near capacity of population on this planet. Everything they're saying is absolute garbage. I mean, if you believe it, it's because you live in some place abnormal like New York City. Like, nobody needs to live there. That's dumb.
One of the best marketing tools is scarcity, right?
Oh, right. Fear and scarcity.
And yes, so we believe here in abundance of life. Life isn't scarce, and there should be no fear about it. So if you're afraid that there's going to be a scarcity of resources and you shouldn't have children, you have bought something and you will pay dearly for it in the end.
After you try to buy back some of that health, which they'll never give you back. They will never.
No, well, you can't buy it from them because it comes from nature. And nature, the only price nature exacts is a willingness to cooperate. That's the price. So everybody can afford it. The very, very wealthy that's as inaccessible to them despite their dollars as it is to the people on the street in India.
Thank you. Which is why they can find joy and appreciation when someone gives them anything to eat. Because the food is all.
Yes.
The food is all. and being able to touch the ground and kiss it. That's why they say kiss the ground.
Yep.
It's okay. You're just a victim of a virus. You're not responsible. It's not your fault. Here, take this pill that will help manage the symptoms. These are the kind of crazy things they say. And I'm not just talking about what they're talking about right now. I'm talking about just generally speaking. They have everybody terrified of being unwell, but then you're always just unwell when you do what they say. And if you don't do what they say, we're not unwell. We don't do what they say at all. Did you notice that we don't do what they say at all? And we're not really unwell. I don't know how many more ways we could say it, ladies. We've been just saying it and saying it and saying it. I think we're coming up on the hour. What do you guys want to say in wrapping it up?
Life is all about connection. So where there's disconnect, look at the results and decide what you want to be connected to. Do you want to be connected to something that isn't for real and isn't really producing the results? Or do you want to connect to something that is a little edgy and you'll be really alive when you do it? Just connect with a little thing someplace.
I think the personal testimonies here that we've been sharing in our own lives are really powerful. And that's definitely how I get a lot of inspiration, is hearing the personal transformations that people go through with their own health, as far as like, I can't get out of the bed in the morning versus, wait, I like waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, that's insane. Like, and just being able to take back your life on all fronts and then see the fruits of that work. I was like, what does it even mean now? Like, what are you doing and why? And you're just going to take control over that in a more profound way. So I mean, I would say, like, some people like to knock on it, like, oh, it's just anecdotal, or it's like an N=1, but it's like, what else? I mean, what else matters for me in my life? What else is going to matter except for like how I feel and like what I can do in the day and how I can like manage all the responsibility that I've been given to. So I would definitely encourage wherever people are in their life to just like find something to do and figure out a way how to eat more animal foods, see if it makes a difference to you. I mean, that's been like, stop listening to all the mainstream nonsense. And I mean, like, maybe there's something more to the picture. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that, you know, if you are out there and you are in any type of dis-ease, that's the word, dis-ease. It's not disease, okay? And that means that if you're on a leave every single day, you know, if you're taking any kind of pill every single day, I don't care what it is. It's different when you're doing Jill's herbs or something, or, you know, Jessica's got a bunch of different remedies as well. But you know, if you're just eating the fatty cake, I'm not talking to you about that really. I'm saying if you're taking a pill every single day, then you simply just need to find balance. I think all of us will agree that you just need to find balance. And a lot of times it just means you just walk outside and plant your feet into the soil until you feel inspired to know what the next step is. Because it's amazing how you take your shoes off and you go stand and you plant your feet in the soil and you're just inspired to something amazing, you know, like in that moment. And because dis-ease rarely has like, you know, one cause, it can only be addressed holistically. You have to pay attention to your body and your mind. And you need to just go out there to the universe and just say, I see you. I get it. I love you. And thank you. And I know that the sun came up for just me today. Thank you so much for that. And if you're appreciating that and thanking, you know, and being in touch then with your emotions and your energy and your spirit, you know, your food and your water and your environment, then, you know, none of these things exist in isolation. And you need to just go ahead and realize that you're embedded in nature. and nature is embedded in you too, you know? So just, I think that my big point today in all of this was that we are all part of this natural world order. I'm not part of the new world order. You might be, but I am not. And you don't have to be. You can change your mind right now and join us in this natural world order and jump in a tube and just ride downstream with us. You don't need to be working so hard. And ask any of us to help you. All of us are ready and able and willing to help you. Everybody's links in the comments. Find out what all the ladies are doing, because they're all doing something powerful and amazing. So connect with them and ask them for help. And I know that they're ready to help you. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you both joining me today and sharing, your lives with me and everybody else. We will see you in the food church next week.